Hello, everybody. I am going to read a session summary that I typed 20 months ago about a really interesting session that illustrates how rapidly and quickly the level of multi and transdimensional quantum work I do and facilitate on behalf of the awakening human population has developed and grown. What's really interesting is I did share this session segment summary online back in July of 2023, and I just finished a session with the same client about 15 minutes ago. So I thought it'd be really cool for me to summarize. I'm going to quickly highlight important parts from my session summary from 2023 and talk about what the client and I visited about today. While protecting anonymity, I have permission to share this with you as long as client remains anonymous, and illustrate how rapidly the work that I do for you has advanced, and talk about how this has interplay and importance for everybody alive right now. Because the very real reality is that some of us are aware of this stuff and others aren't. And just because they are not aware of the true nature of reality does not mean that they're not being affected by it. So oftentimes, those of us who do know more have a responsibility to support our fellow humankind as they're coming into awareness, while remembering that some people will choose not to become aware, and walking the tension of that. So anyway, just saw this client, worked with this person extensively in 2023. This summary at the time was too long. I don't think I was able to post it on Twitter, but I did post it elsewhere on Facebook, I think. And I'm going to read to you a little bit about what me and one of my primary energy work collaborators did with this client in the summer of 2023, and address some of what I did now today in a different session modality type. So, like I said, this was a quantum shamanic joint visioning and repair session that I did with one of my collaborators in 2023. I have permission to share this with you. We were initially approached by a client to assist in a multifactorial, really complex case. The client and members of the household in question, including a 2-year-old child, were experiencing a series of distressing and disturbing energetic and psychic events. The client reported that the land the home is built on to be energetically quite active and powerful, with the presence of multiple ley lines, so ley lines intersecting, which we might call a nodal point, lots of quartz in the ground, and the area of land is significant in size as well. Furthermore, the client, her own intuitive work, plus that of several other practitioners, suggested that at least one energetic portal was present at the time, furthering and amplifying the unwanted activity in the home. The work that we did that day determined that this was accurate. The primary false wormhole or false portal that was there without permission and consent was opening into the kitchen. It was appearing and opening into the kitchen of the home, and there was significant activity at that time in the entire house, but the kitchen in particular. The client reported that through her years of intuitive development and energy work, it had become clear that all the members of their family had lived many lives on the land. So this is what the client reported to me. Two family members seemed to be the guardians of the land over and over and over. The client believed that they had repeated many incarnations in this location for over 20 generations. Now, those of you who know me, who followed my work, who are aware of some of my own contemplations and understandings would would be aware, and I'll just mention for anyone who might watch this later, that I don't care whether multiple reincarnations are real or not. Many people understand a multi-incarnational view. Something I have worked with within myself is that I believe we are templated to access certain things at certain times, whether it is a memory that you yourself in an aspect of your infinite spirit or soul lived, or you are being allowed quantum, shall we say, quantum field access codes to certain templating. So I'm sharing with you what the client reported and also what my own work or my own revelation has indicated. So this person believed that she and or at least two members of the household had had as many as 20 incarnations based on what they were remembering as guardians or caretakers of this land. So the client was seeking assistance in 2023 for a variety of issues, and a primary one of note at that time was in regards to the young child who was 2 at the time, who lived in the home. The child had generally had a happy, cheerful, and loving disposition. For several days prior to the client reaching out for services, the kiddo had been acting lethargic, refusing food, crying, was difficult to console, and reported that it felt like their feet were burning. There were no physical symptoms of illness. There was no fever. Nothing offered by other members of the family seemed to soothe or help the child. And when child was taken to a pediatrician confirmed that there was nothing physically wrong that was able to be diagnosed that day in the office. So the understanding that had been developed by the client and other practitioners who had tried to assist with the situation is that a Mayan or similar settlement had been present on the land in which numerous human sacrifices and malevolent divergent rituals had taken place. I may need to edit this. Some of what I've written, I'm probably going to need to edit for posting on YouTube. So you'll have to infer what I mean when I'm saying malevolent ritual. Client believed that much of the energetic harassment in the home was being caused by the intrusive, distorted priest spirit of the time, or of the Mayan settlement time. The priest led cruel, ritualistic, you-know-whats during that time. There had been numerous other earthbound spirits and ghosts, many of which felt ominous on the property as well. There was also the child spirit of a little girl named Clarice in the home. So this is what the client is reporting to me and to my collaborator. Another practitioner who had been brought in to assist with the case released all of the spirits that had been present, including Clarice, prior to connecting with me and the person I was working with. Right before contacting us, this client had hired a local practitioner to physically come to the property to clear the perceived area that the evil feeling former time practices, indigenous practices, have been taking place. Initially, for a short time, things felt calmer, and it seemed like the spirit of what was being perceived as the priest of this other time, who had been actually coming through portals and manifesting in their physical reality, was gone. So it seemed like that for a time, and he came back. So they had a good, quieter few days. And then he comes back intensely angry. The client was seeking peace, the restoration of the personality and well-being of the child in the home, and a calmer, energetic signature for the home and the land. And I want to mention here that my partner and I did multiple sessions with this client to assist everything that was happening. And I am sharing with you a summary for one of the multiple sessions that we did, because there's actually too much to share in a short video about the extremely multifaceted, quantum entangled things that were happening on this property. And I guess I want to say here that it's important to know that there are areas of land in this magnificent, mysterious realm that we are in. There are energetic areas in which time blends and does not exist in the same way it does in other versions of this reality construct. So where this person lives is almost outside of time, or it is in a place where different times and realities and timelines blend and mix together, because they were having experiences of connecting with people who appeared to be physical people that were from a different time. The client's spouse, who's not involved in this paradigm of spirituality at all, was out at the bottom of the driveway, or like the base of the driveway one day. He was getting the mail, maybe smoking a cigarette, but he was at the base of the driveway. And all of a sudden, appearing before him is a Native American wearing clothes, very little clothes, but clothes of that time. He could have touched him. They both looked shocked, had a moment of disbelief, and the other man vanished. We since have learned that that other man was actually one of the incarnations that the client's spouse had lived prior. So you understand, when we say things like past or future or prior, time is a construct that is both very real and a complete illusion, because that is the paradox. We live in a realm of paradox, and time is a paradoxical matter, as are we. As the marriage of spirit and matter, we ourselves are a walking, talking paradox, and the realm that we live in is a sacred paradox indeed. So is time. It is both real and unreal. It is everything and nothing. It is paradox. So back to what I wrote in the summary. These two ley lines were momentous and home to a distinct flow of energy. Adding to this was the quartz and other specific properties of the land, along with the multiple portals, some organic, as in they were supposed to be there, and some that were being injected or projected out of place without consent and not for the highest good of the living beings that were tending the land and living there. This all attracted lots of energetic activity from all of the spiritual or unseen realms. And it's super important that people within this paradigm understand that spiritual is not a word that equals benevolent. Energetic is not a word that equals good friend and ally. It can. Spirituality can equal, or the word spiritual can equal benevolence or growth or a process of learning. But many times it's parasitic. spirituality does not imply good. And people within the area with which I work have got to come into understanding that the false light grabs you first. And you have to initiate through the false light of the New Age cage, the Luciferian agenda, which the flip side is the very in your face, stark, malevolent transhumanism. We all become bionic robots or something, sort of a plan. It's the same thing, two sides of the same coin. Got it? Same thing. Have to understand the false light going to 5D when 5D is just a little place in which your energy is flowing just so much more juicy for the parasites and vampires to slurp on. 5D is part of the cage that they want you stuck in here because the physical brain itself is already far beyond anything we would understand as 5D. And that's the physical brain. So I digressed or kind of went down another trail for a little bit, but it's super important for everybody to come into realization that while there are many lovely people who mean well and are acting in authenticity in different corners and aspects of the false light of the New Age cage, those people themselves are either deceived or are deceiving. If they're authentic and they think they're helping people, then they themselves are deceived if they are operating as an agent of the false light. They have not yet initiated through into an understanding and a comprehension and an authentic way of being an energetic individual who is the marriage of spirit and matter. So back to this. I wrote that of extremely important note, the properties of the land and the multidimensional or interdimensional region. So we're thinking, picture Earth, but inner Earth isn't just physical Earth, it's all kinds of other realms and dimensions and pocket realities. So what I wrote was of important note, these properties functioned as a thinning of the veil, almost a complete dissolution at times between the spirals of time. Like a shock wave of sorts, time and its various lines and spirals were bleeding together. That's what I wrote in 2023. We saw that this bleeding of time, combined with the location of the portals, the small child in the home received a memory imprint that was overwhelming. The child remembered one of their own memories from another version of a lifetime lived on the land, whether it was a physical lifetime or a template that was important for this child's soul, doesn't matter to me. The effect is the same. Like a radio dial, the frequency of this kiddo was just right at that time to tune into a stressful and painful memory of stepping on a red hot coal in another lifetime. The stress of that cellular genetic memory initiated the symptoms family was seeking assistance with. At this time, no entities or spirits were intentionally attacking or siphoning the child. The child's foot was burning, felt like it was burning. The child was feeling something that had occurred in another memory template from a different time spiral. So my collaborator and I did basically what I was calling a shamanic quantum or a quantum shamanic visioning session. I'm not going to get too detailed in the specifics of what we did. It's been shared before. And like I said, I don't want to say anything that's going to get me a naughty mark on YouTube. And if you are interested in having me facilitate work like this, trust that I am being completely honest on and authentic in saying that I can and do. This is what I do, and I can do it for you too. But that would need to be within the confines and parameters of my energy work container. And if you're new to my work, I would like to recommend that you book a discovery call with me. If you are experiencing any kind of soul, consciousness, spirit, or essence theft or fracturing, if you are missing time, if you are remembering having blips of memory that you're not sure if they're yours or if they're being implanted, if you are being targeted, hearing voices in your head and you know that you are not imagining those, potentially having technologies directed at you in that way, if you believe that your genetic material has been stolen without your consent or permission. These are all things that I handle extensively in my container called Quantum Clearing and Energy Repair with Soul Retrieval and Deliverance. And I invite you to reach out to me to see if we are potentially a good fit to work together. So I'm not going to go into details of exactly what we did in our shamanic and quantum visioning session, and just say that at that time, everything that needed to be addressed was addressed, and there was significant immediate repair that continued to expand into this time and this reality. And yeah, a lot of this stuff I probably can't say in this video. If any of you are interested and connected with me on Twitter or Facebook, Instagram, Substack, wherever you're looking at this at, if you are interested in reading a longer version of this particular session summary, do feel free to reach out to me privately and I will consider sharing that with you. However, let me just feel into what else I should say. We basically went to the timeline. I'll just summarize. We went to the timeline in which all of the, let's say, malevolent, life draining rituals had been happening. And that's where we went. We dealt with it. What felt very important for me to share, I was actually told a couple of days ago, I got an energetic message from the mother father that this is what I was supposed to talk about next time I had opportunity to do a quick live. And so a detail that they really want me to mention is that these malevolent, violent, depraved things that were happening in that reality were happening on top of a ziggurat. And this was all just organic information that my partner and I were receiving as we facilitated this session. And I have since learned that ziggurats were a very commonplace throughout much of time, and not time, but in this world and worlds like it, for those type of things to be happening. So that was something very interesting. And I do encourage that if you are somebody who is, how do I say, having visions, dreams, that don't feel entirely organic or appropriate related to ziggurats or pyramids, that there's likely a piece of your puzzle that we need to explore, that you need to explore related to similar goings on. So that's what I was asked to share about the ziggurat. We stayed there for a couple of weeks. So because we are magical and made by source with the ability to image and co-create through imaging, while I was doing this session, one of these sessions here in this room that I'm sitting in now, that aspect of my infinite beingness was able to stay and assist in repairing for those people, that people group who had been terrorized We stayed for something like 2 or 3 weeks. So this is what living and understanding, coming into an understanding that you can live a grounded, fully present life here and now, while also having access to these other bits of our beingness that can do really amazing other things simultaneously. So I'll share that. I wanted to share that. Yeah, so we were able to resolve all of the things that I mentioned and didn't mention that day. And the land was improved, felt much more peaceful. We did a lot of land healing work, an area of the land where nothing had grown in several decades, was able to see living plant life in following months. The little child in the home woke up the following morning and was happy and laughing, and foot wasn't burning anymore, so on and so forth. So I wanted to share that and then talk just a little bit about some of the work that I do and that I just did. So it was almost 2 years ago that I last saw this client, and I just saw this amazing person again today. And today we worked on really things that were more specific to her as a practitioner, as a healer, as a person on an individual path of journey and growth. And what has occurred to me, I've written about this a little bit, but it's occurred to me that I haven't shared a whole lot on video about the really, really crucial need to identify and address genetic portals and microportals. And this is not quite the same thing as like an ancestral chain or even a lineage contract, though they can go hand in hand. All of the shielding in the world that you can construct energetically, with all of the angels or benevolent guidance teams assisting you for external shielding, does not, will not, and cannot work if the access points are inside you. This is also similar to what I've written about before, about I can identify and remove implants, etheric implants, thought forms, entities, parasites all day, every day. But until a client or an individual has decided within themselves to address fully whatever it is that is allowing those access points, none of the removal, release, and alchemical work that I do and that I can facilitate will roll out long term. So that's why, soul guided emotional release and energy repair is another container that I offer from time to time, because that's getting to the heart of the matter within the human person, within your being. If you are harboring a thought form of rage or bitterness, and that egregore has been allowed to transform your heart from a beautiful, radiant, vibrant, source connected conduit of life into, let's just say, a rickety door, a rickety breaking down door that's being opened, and things are coming in and walk-ins are going out when they feel like it. They're coming back in the mind, they're coming into the body, they're accessing through the heart, they're leaving toxic sludge behind. Until you are ready to address that bitterness or that rage, whatever it may be, and identify it as a portal that's allowing access. Everything that a practitioner can assist you with can and will recur. So that's one example, and that's emotional, that's energetic, that's the energy of emotion, of trapped emotion. And often something that started as protective becomes very damaging, and it also tends to suggest a lack of full accountability or full self-responsibility. And that can be a hard pill for people to swallow if our rage has been what's keeping us safe for 20 years. And we find out now that not only is rage hurting us, it's allowing entities or programs to access us and our children, that it functioned as a genetic access. That can be a hard pill for people to swallow, but it's true, and it is so worth navigating through it. There's no other way. The only way out is through until we leave this realm. So genetic microportals or portals, genome issues. I've talked a little bit lately about generational iniquity. And iniquity is a tough word for people. It was a word I wouldn't have used even 6 months ago. What happens is this is the literal physical manifestation within your lineage of a change in the expression of your genes that functions as an access point. And so that's how an agreement an ancestor made generations back can be functioning as an access point for living generations now who had nothing to do consciously with that agreement or that contract or that violence, whatever it may be, that abuse that somebody made 4 generations ago or whatever. This gets complex. It is nuanced. It is a very real part of the situation we find ourselves in as a humanity living on Earth or Tara. I hope we return to Tara. And there is help for all of this. You are worth the work of becoming and remembering the sovereignty that is your birthright. I see you. I feel it all. I know many of you do too. And I honor your human journey and your spiritual one as well. I think I'm going to call it here for tonight. I hope that some of you who are watching now and will watch this video later on learned something from this, received any activation or catalyst that may have come through the share that I offered today for your own journey. If I can be of any assistance to you in my energy work container, you can look at my offerings, stan.store/Sarah Descending. If you're new, you do need to have a discovery call first for everything but Akashic Records. I would love to work with you. Please let me know how I can support you. And I am wishing you an absolutely wonderful rest of your evening or tomorrow if you are somewhere in the world where it is already Saturday morning. I will talk to you soon. Bye. Or tomorrow.